Two.
Could do like A-T.
Hey, everybody. Dave, we're starting the show.
Oh,
hey,
sorry.
everybody. Welcome back to another episode of ATL on Fire, the podcast where we talk all things Atlanta United and all things soccer, footy, whatever.
I didn't know we were starting.
We're starting.
Sorry.
That whole initialize thing, it's kind of
okay.
stressful.
Yeah,
in
it
the
had
software.
threw me for a loop.
I was tricked too.
So, Dave, Carmen, how's everybody doing this evening?
Good. Is it a Monday? Are we on
It's
a
Monday.
regular
We're back, baby.
Monday. Yes. But
Yeah,
doing
right
all
on schedule.
And we are celebrating Greg Berhalter's reappointment with a nice bottle of wine, Dave.
Okay, here was the bet.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe Carmen would tell us. The question was whether they would dare to reappoint Berhalter. And I said they might. And you said no way. And then you said, well, I'll bet you a bottle of wine. And you said, okay. But I said, if they lose, if I lose the bet, no, if I win the bet, then I get the great bottle of wine, I'll chug it because I'll be so depressed.
Right.
So now I'm standing here and I'm like, we got this fantastic. Tell us about the wine.
Yeah, it's a Barolo from, I believe, Damalino. I'm not even going to try the other word here. But, yeah, very, very fruity, kind of.
You stole my word. I had a word. I was going to say fruity.
It is fruity. You can,
Did y'all see the movie Sideways when it's in wine country and he's like, a freaking Merlot? He starts chugging. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be drinking this Barolo.
So, yeah, what is it? How is it described by the tag there?
Juicy red with dried strawberry and orange peel, as well as cedar and spice undertones. You know, when they say undertones, then, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, it is good. I don't know a lot about wine, but I know this is good.
I knew that I was going to win anyway because now we have to drink a nice bottle of wine.
I got to chug it, though. That's not right. All right. We're going to move on.
And, yeah, so the other thing, shout out to Wild Heaven Beer, our sponsor. Actually was talking to Hayden at the Avondale States location about maybe doing a Women's World Cup episode live out on the patio again.
Right on.
I know work has gotten in the way of our schedules to be able to do that for the Vietnam and or the Netherlands game,
right?
Which would be great ones to do it on. But I think if we can't do it those nights,
Good morning, Vietnam.
Great movie.
Yeah, we start with Vietnam.
Yeah.
Then the Dutch.
Yep.
Tough.
So Wild Heaven Brewery, though, even though we can't go there those nights.
Just because we can't go there doesn't mean you can't.
That's right.
Get yourself there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we'll meet you there.
So, yeah, the rest of the agenda for this evening, I'm going to get into a little bit of a rant of all the drama that everybody's probably seen in the news. We're going to go tactical board.
What news?
We're going to recap the last two games, Philadelphia and Montreal, 2 wins, kind of unexpected wins. So happy about that.
Didn't we say they were only going to get 4 points in the next 5 games?
Yeah, I know. And they
all right. So you know how last time at the beginning of the season, I went to try to figure out, our predictions, and I couldn't find anything we got wrong. Here's something we got really wrong.
I would say we got that real wrong.
Yeah, we said they weren't going to get 4 points in the next 5 games or 6 games. They've got 6 points in the first 2.
This is true.
What? And yeah, very much enjoyed the Philadelphia game in person. So that was a good one. We'll get to it. But before that, before the podcast, we're all trying to figure out the news behind the Ibarra loan that was announced kind of mysteriously. And the fact that Mascara is also coming back off of a loan that was mutually terminated. But as Dave and I were discussing, it's obvious that it was kind of a one-way termination but it also seems like there are plans for him to be available for starting. And
yeah, he's available.
Yeah.
He's not going to play because he's not good.
Well,
but he's available. It was mutually.
They certainly were acting like it. I know they play those cards, but
okay. So Mascara came back. That created 4 U.
Yeah. So just spots. To pause, right? So there's there's an initiative in the MLS that is called the U22 initiative, right? And I think you can only have 3 players that qualify there. And I think it's a way to attract young players and get higher transfer fees for those. Like a Sosa was a good example of that, where it came in at age 22. You have to be a full year at 22 in the club when you're signed. You can only have 3 active on your roster, as I understand it.
Yep.
But you can also pay their salary up to like $750,000 at that, which is a pretty attractive wage for
it's an incentivizer.
Yes. So whatever, it's an incentivizer. I don't know why there's a cap on it, but there is. It's only 3, and somehow we were not able to deal out Eric Lopez, who's one of our under 22.
Because nobody wants him.
Yeah. Somehow. I don't, but so I also, that's where I'll stop there. If he's so bad, why don't we can't we just terminate it?
No, you can't terminate someone's contract.
Can't just drop him from the roster.
No, that's illegal. I mean, now you can, make it life difficult.
Can't you get him to a USL team for like nothing? Like, you just got to be somebody who will take him at a ridiculous offer, right?
Maybe, but then you're stuck paying their wages, and
we are stuck paying his wages though, right?
Yeah, no, well, he's on our team.
Yeah. So
it's even worse.
So
we're paying his wages, and he's on our team.
He's so bad we can't find anybody to take him for $1.
No, we can't.
Okay. Sosa is the other one. We obviously like Sosa, but it's strange that they decided to deal Ibarra, given Pineda's preference towards Ibarra over Sosa.
Yeah, on this thing, I said that Sosa was gone, right? On the last podcast, because it seemed like, okay, that left, you couldn't get rid. Nobody was going to buy Lopez alone or take him on a loan. So it was either Ibarra or Sosa, and you figure, okay, well, Pineda clearly prefers Ibarra. I think he's nuts, but he clearly prefers Ibarra, so you figure Sosa was gone, and yet, no.
No, the real rub here, though, is the way that it's obviously handled both with the player and the fans. I don't understand how our new GM or president Garth allows that to happen. Is that excusable? Because I mean, you at least even Ibarra's point, at least give him like a week heads up, right?
Yeah, they should have been able to do that. They should have sat them all down, and said, look, this is happening. We're going to have one of too many, and somebody's going to have to go,
right.
Even if you don't say anything specifically to Ibarra.
Right.
So somebody knows that.
Somebody knows that the shoe's about to drop.
Now, it was on social media. We kind of knew about it. So you got to figure maybe they knew about it too. But nevertheless, you would think they would be more forthcoming.
A lot of those guys are just focused on training and don't understand all the crazy MLS rules that are impossible to understand. They're just there to play ball.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, should have realized that. But obviously, 24-hour notice to know you're moving to Canada in a different country just doesn't seem like the right approach as a professional organization to both the player and the fans to, see what's
fair. I agree.
Do better.
It came off really badly. It was really bad publicity for the club. We just don't look good.
Yeah. And it also just itches at why the complexities in the MLS. It makes an already difficult league that's in the wrong time of year.
Well, I have some sympathies for the complexities in the MLS, because all of that was designed to protect the league as it was going to grow, because the NASL had folded. MLS honestly almost went under even after they started. They had a few teams that contracted. All the Florida teams disappeared off the face of the earth. There was it was rocky, right? So all of that probably protected the league. Now, obviously at this point, MLS ain't going under, right? MLS. And so, the critique would be here, not that those rules existed, but that why not really be a little more aggressive in relaxing them at this point?
Yeah. I think now with the Messi situation, him coming over, that has to be the next big thing. There has to be an additional 4th DP that's added to teams, salary cap increases.
Well, Miami already has 6 DPs.
Yeah, I mean,
seriously though, so they had DPs, and then they already had 3 DPs, and then they Messi, and then they have Busquets and Jordi Alba, right? And you're
and Pisueza, what's his name?
You're like, no, Pizarro was on. He's on the team.
Pizarro. They're gonna get rid of him.
They got rid of him, but at the moment, As far as anybody can tell, they have 6 designated players.
Right.
So what's up with that? And this is a team. I don't know if you recall, but there was a team that was cheating against the rules. Do you remember that team? Do you know what team that was? Miami.
With our previous
GM. with our old GM, yeah. So yeah, what gives on that?
Now, what's good for the league is good for the league.
All right, 6 designated players for all.
So Dave, we don't have a little jingle yet, but when are we going to go tactical board? What do you want to talk about on the tactical board?
Well, you haven't. I thought we were going to go. I mean, so you haven't finished the transfer. You didn't talk about Gutman.
Yeah, well, it's sad. I forgot. Did we not talk about in the last podcast? Was that
no?
Okay,
no,
that
it
happened
came after.
No,
Yeah,
it came after.
Okay, so good point. So Gutman's gone. We are saying whatever moves are coming or whatever plays we have can fill the left back position, which we obviously have Wiley.
Yeah.
But
do we really? I mean, we'll get into him in a tactical board. But does anybody really think that Wiley is a defender?
Certainly not as a 4 in the back.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
But he's not a defender.
Yeah. So he does fine in this 5 in the back system.
Yeah, he's a winger.
Yeah, he's a good winger.
So is Lennon. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. But you know, that's interesting, right? So you don't have anybody who can play left back in a standard 4, right? I mean, they may think Wiley can, but he can't. So, and you don't have any, you know, we want to have 2 players basically at every position, right? In case there's whatever. Now you can argue maybe Hernandez can play there. Maybe Abram is capable of playing there in a pinch or whatever, but we really don't have anybody. Right. So
yeah.
Why?
Oh, the why is because we're moving to 5 in the back for the rest of the season. It has to be the plan.
But how could that have been? Like he had only made that
I'm
one
just giving you the
game.
Answer. I don't know.
Game. One game.
Do you agree though? We're probably going to see 5 in the back.
Now you have to. You don't have a choice.
Right? Absolutely.
You do not have a choice because now I'm sure Pineda will think he has a choice, and because he thinks that Wiley can play in a back 4, he cannot. Right. So I don't think we have a choice but to play 5 in the back. We have to. We'll get to it in a second in tactical board.
Another thing with like the Gutman and the Ibarra thing, and how can the coach not see these grenades coming too? It's almost as if like Pineda and DeBoer, even back in the day, are like getting the news like the same time we are.
Yep.
Hey, you know, it's like I get it that it can't be that premature because you don't want them to stop.
I'll give you one word with 3 syllables.
Okay.
Blindsided.
Yeah.
No, they seem like they have no idea. Right. So, and they don't have a say in it whatsoever. Right. Now, do I think that Pineda should have a say in it? No, because I don't think he makes good decisions. But that being said, it's a little disconcerting that your coach has 0 say in the transfer policy.
And my question, I tagged Taylor Twellman, who wasn't going to answer me, but I was like, does this happen at other clubs?
Right.
Like, is this pretty common where there's that much of a void of like the coach?
There's really certainly the modern team with a true sort of general manager means that a lot of these clubs have one person or a board that's in charge of signings that's independent of the coach. That being said, though, they're still consulting with the coach.
Yeah.
Right. Because.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like, Pineda's saying all things. He's like, I'm always in constant communication with Bocanegra and the things that like, that's what he's saying. But then I don't get the feeling that they're at least, again, a week or 2 ahead being like, hey, we're thinking about options for Ibarra, given the pinch we're in with the U22. So is it going to be Sosa or Ibarra? Like maybe you don't have an opinion in that, right? Like you get what you get, but just let them know. It doesn't sound like they know. Like,
you would think he would at least be on the same page where he could be like, even if it's a lie, that yes, Sosa's my guy. I wanted to keep him.
Right. You can fake it.
Fake it. Yeah. Like, come on. So, and then you haven't talked about the new French player.
He's, I listened to an interview with him today. He's going to come in as a midfielder that'd be playing in what Pineda said would be a double pivot, assuming with Sosa or Rossetto or Sadic, right? Like he's got to partner with one of those 3 in a double pivot, which I don't really get.
He doesn't look like a defensive midfielder to me at all.
I haven't really seen him. Maybe I'm thinking that.
I mean, there's so little clips, so maybe, but
he said in the interview, like in his last role, he was playing more of an 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and he doesn't look like an 8 to me at all.
Right.
What he looks like to me is an attacking midfielder who can tackle. Right? You know who's an attacking midfielder who can tackle?
Fred.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the classic version of this. So Fred is a pretty good attacking midfielder. He's not a great passer of the ball, but he'll pop up and score some goals. And when you play him in front of Casemiro, for example, in Man United, he's absolutely brilliant because now you have one guy reading the game, another guy just all out flying around and getting tackles in. Right. That works. That's what I said we should have been doing all the time with Sosa and Ibarra, because Ibarra has a lot of that in his game, right? This guy is clearly an Ibarra. Right now, he looks like he's got more creativity to his forward play, but some of the clips, I mean, in one game's worth of clips, I saw him back heel the ball, he flicked it, he made a run out wide. Like none of that says 8 or 6 or defensive midfield. What it says is a creative player who can get a tackle in. So,
but was he at least part of the Ibarra replacement plan? I mean, a direct decision that he's an upgrade.
Well, we're going to get, maybe that should send us right to the tactical board, because what's going to happen when we have to play 5 is it makes us make a choice. So you want to talk about that?
Let's do it. Let's talk about the formation and the tactical board.
The one thing we didn't do.
This is where Mikey Dobbs is going to give you the, the tactical board jingle.
Got to hit the blue share button there. Yeah. Tactical board. Tactical board. Here we go.
All right. Hey, let's share this bad boy.
All right.
Here he comes.
Elliot's got some questions on the thing too, so we'll have to.
No, it doesn't matter.
So, Carmen, how's the leg doing?
It's better. I actually did an agility ladder at PT the other day.
Nice.
What's going on?
Agility ladder.
Yeah.
All right, tactical man.
All right, now it's somewhere up here, right? Like this one.
Yeah.
Sorry about that,
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I like the new angle on the tactical board.
Yeah, we're going the vertical.
Whoa, it's like Star Wars, at the beginning where it fades. I like it. All right, so here's the thing. So as soon as you play with 3 in the back, Mikey Dobbs, right? Now, 3 in the back, 5 in the back. It's a 3 in the back with 2 wingers, right? It's 5 in the back defensively and 3 in the back when we go forward, right? This is a classic, thing to do. But so as soon as you play with 3 in the back, right, it makes you make choices, right? And I'm going to show you the kind of choices that we have, right? So the first thing is the only reason to play 3 in the back really is if you are going to use those 3 aggressively to win the ball, because most teams are playing like 1 up top in the middle. Maybe they're playing, 3 across the front, but most teams are playing 1 across and 1 in the middle. So you got like a 3v1 in the middle, right? And this is going to become a problem for us all the time, because if teams play 3 in the front, right, then what could happen is you could have 3v3, right? It could be, in this case, we're showing Abram, Parata, and Hernandez because Robinson hasn't been available, but obviously Robinson plays one of these roles when he comes back from Gold Cup, and we'll switch that out in a second. I'll go into that. But the bottom line is that, if you're going to play 3 in the back, you've got to be able to win the ball up the field. And one of the things that's happened already is that our 3 in the back, nobody knows who to match up with, right? Because, for example, if their forward comes up the line, right, if this guy is here, you would think that's got to be Abram, right? Mm-hmm. That's not what it's been. He has not left that position. He has been staying in here to protect the middle. And you know who was covering this position mostly in this last game?
I'm going to guess Sosa.
Nope.
Okay. Wiley.
Nope.
Oh, God.
Parata.
No.
I don't know.
Believe it or not.
Oh, look at him.
That's what that was responsible for that.
Okay.
They had
Amar
Sosa
Sedic.
staying in the middle, and they had Amar Sedic striking out wide. Does that recall something for you? How we
Mhm.
used to do that? And the problem with that, of course, is that so you win the ball here, and then who is there to play to, right? But okay,
Almada. By the way, there's your answer.
yeah. Well, so this is the biggest problem I have actually with the 5 in the back is Almada, right? Because so Almada actually, of course, he's been our best player, right? No doubt about that. He's been one of the best players in the MLS, right? Almada has looked really good in here in the middle part of the field, right?
Yeah.
He has looked a lot less effective when he's out here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the first thing that happens is you say, like, well, in a perfect world, we should be playing with some kind of formation of 3 midfielders, whether it's a double pivot with Almada in the front like that, right? Or whether it's even Sejdic with only one as a defensive midfielder like that. But anyway, that's the Almada's best role. And one of the things I have said over and over and over and over and over, when you're a coach, you start with your best player, right? You're like, okay, first let's maximize our best player.
Yeah.
So the one problem that we're going to have is the back 5 does not maximize Almada, because if you do this, right? So if Almada plays in here, right, then there is a possibility you could do it, right? You could actually play with 2 strikers. You could have Almada sort of playing right off the front of, hopefully this would be Gigi and not Barry, but whatever it is, you could be playing right off the front of him. But if that's the case, then you're not playing 3 in the middle anymore, unless it's completely unbalanced. What you're probably doing is one of these guys come in the middle like this, right? So you need another center midfielder, right? So what happens in that case is it's no longer Wolf, and the only other center midfielder would be Josetu now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you might be thinking, wait a second, there is a good new center midfielder who plays sort of an attacking defensive role, right? The new French guy. And that may be the logic that they're thinking, that he can do that.
Yeah.
Right. But the problem with any combination like this, where Almada plays in the middle, then you're only playing 2 at strikers. And now you have Etienne, Chol, Wolf, Barry, and Gigi for 1 spot, right?
Yeah.
So this is a big problem, right? Our team is clearly meant to play 3 up front. And so what's going to happen is, hopefully this is not Barry. We'll just give us the benefit of the doubt. But in Papa Giorgio, right? Let's move him out for a second, get back to it. So it's going to look some combination like this. And my first problem with the back in the 5 is that it's going to tend to push Almada out wide. And I don't think Almada is as good out wide as he is in the middle. What do you think? Because right now he's been playing this role as one of these guys, because he's been playing here. We've only had 2 in the center back, right? And then we've had another forward like this, right? So that's the role he's been playing, where he's really been thriving.
I think with Gigi in and him being even out left, he's good enough to be very effective there, between his passing skills to.
Well, clearly he's good enough, but is it his best spot on the field? No. And do you want your best player not playing in the best spot?
I agree. It's not designing around Almada.
Yeah. So that's a problem. Okay. So, but let's say, I think that's a given. If you're going to play, I think if you're going to play 5 in the back, then it has to become Almada like that. And this could be Wolf or Etienne, right? Or whatever. There's some flexibility there. But okay. So if that's the case, the next problem that you have, that we had, remember with De Boer, and we kept, I called it the De Boer cha-cha-cha, because like we would play 4 in the back and we would score goals but give up a ton. Then he would go to 5 in the back and we got shutouts all the time, but we couldn't score, right? And it was just back and forth. He just kept adjusting. And I feel like we're headed there, right? Because the problem with this formation is if you play 3 in the front, now you leave 2 on an island in the middle, right? So if you have 2 on an island in the middle, what you need is a defensive midfielder who's spectacular. right? And you need another midfielder who can both play the ball and who can defend. Now, it looks to me like that's what they bought.
So
that's the partner.
What was the starting lineup against Philadelphia? We played 5 in the back for the first time all season, right?
Correct.
Yep.
We looked the best we've looked all season.
Yes.
So what's working though in your mind with this change?
Well, certainly defensively it's working. We'll get
Yeah.
to that in a second, right? We haven't given up a goal since we've gone.
Oh, we scored two fabulous goals too.
Well, we scored one fabulous goal. That last
individual player move.
That last goal that we scored is, I think, we may have talked about Lennon gets open on the right. He puts it right through the goalkeeper's legs from an acute angle. If that's Andre Blake, there's no way that's a goal.
But it was still, it's still a clear-cut chance. It wasn't like
we created chances.
Yeah.
We did. We really did. We created chances. I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here.
Yeah.
We created chances, but that's what happened with De Boer. And then as the other teams adjusted to this and started overloading the midfield, we got less and less chances. We couldn't get up the field anymore. That could happen.
We didn't have Almada and Gigi though.
Well,
as far as like true, I mean, I think
fair.
Because
we had already lost Almiron,
particularly if you're talking about playing them almost both as strikers, right? Like
we had Joseph Martinez at his prime, and he was scoring buckets of goals the first season under De Boer. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think.
But 2019, that's the spring that he got ACL'd, right?
No, the first season under De Boer, he was the leading scorer in the
2019.
Whole league.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, you're going to have to play with 2 in the center of the park, right? And most teams are going to play some version of 3, right? They're going to be playing 3 in the center of the park. And so we're going to get overloaded in the middle. Now, obviously, Muyumba, right? He looks like an all-action guy. He looks like he's made to play that role, right? So, maybe, but that means that Sedic is going to be, on the bench. It means that Josetti is going to be on the bench, and that could be okay. If Mayumba can really link a pass, play an attacking midfielder, and also get a tackle in front of Sosa, it might be enough. This could work.
So who else are we going to bring? We have another designated player spot. We've got some like TAM openings as well. Like, so whether it's a full DP contract or a Moreno replacement, right? That's, going to get paid good money. What do you think we're going to do to shore up the midfield here? Or defense or left back or whatever.
Well, so there's a thing. So where is, so we are now, what I would say is absolutely committed to a back 5, right? Because we can't, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Wiley can be a back in a back 4 like this. Now, obviously, this would be Miles, right? But I don't think this defensively is good enough because I don't think Wiley and Lennon, we just go back to the same problem we were having.
Yeah, but we have like 3 other signings that are coming, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, but I think we're committed with what we're going on at the left back. We're committed to a 5, right? So presumably it's going to be this, and we'll get to this a second. But it's going to be a 5. So, okay, that's great. And the one thing I'll say about the 5, Wiley and Lennon are absolutely made for this 5.
Right.
Both of them can really go up and down the field. They can defend when they have help behind them in the middle, right? And they're very dangerous like this. They are made for a 5.
Well, that's the other thing I was saying is different. You not only have 2 of the top players in MLS that can score with Almada and Gigi, you got Wiley and Wolf who can score too and bring something to the table, or Wolf and whatever mix of other options with Etienne and Chol based on minutes and.
But here's the problem. So the rumor is that we're buying a designated player who is a winger of some kind, right? Now, if you play a winger in this, then what it means is that they have to be an attacking winger. So what would be this player here, right? So Wolf would be off, right? And it would be designated player here, right? Now, if we have a really amazing designated player, then that becomes an amazing front line, right? You give you that. But the problem is you're now completely reliant on Muyamba to be amazing. Otherwise, you have all three of these strikers and they never get the ball because you get dominated in midfield.
Well, what if you get another Moreno level? I mean, pay wise, right?
Yeah.
At like $1 million a year salary. Somebody else in the midfield who's better than Huzetu, better than Moyamba, and better than Sejdic.
Yeah, so we could be buying a amazing designated player who we've been talking about. We should buy.
No,
right?
I'm saying keep the designated player. Fine, but also now we can also sign somebody else in the midfield. Is my point. That's an upgrade.
So here,
yeah.
Now, if you can do that, then more power to you. Then it suddenly makes some sense.
Like Moyamba's the depth there.
Yeah, for sure. But the question is, do you think we're still going to buy an amazing designated player winger and we still can get a great center midfielder?
We should be able to, yeah. And Carlos Boganegger kind of gave the nod to that. And even if it's not a true designated player, 2 high quality, like TAM level players.
That would be incredible because I just don't think Moyamba, given the keys to the center midfield, is going to be the guy. I just don't. Right. I think that's a big risk for a guy who's never played a minute with us, doesn't really look like, tremendous, guy on the ball possession wise. He looks like his passing is very aggressive, right? Like he's an attacking midfielder who makes tackles. A Fred Fred gives away the ball a lot, right? Because he makes some spectacular passes up front too, right? But Ibarra is a little bit like that too. Ibarra gives up the ball a lot. We haven't talked about him versus Sosa. But anyway, so the other problem I have, right, is regardless of all this, we're going to play 5 in the back, clearly. We're committed to that, right? So God help us if we lose Wiley because we got nothing there. But here's the other problem I have, right? So first, there's 2 problems I have. First of all, these 3, if they play all in the center, right, we go back to the problem that we had, and you could see it in the Philadelphia game. As the game wore on, who was wide open here? Bedoya. I mean, Bedoya is not exactly like the fastest, youngest guy anymore. He was killing us at the end of that game. He was wide open. They were finding him all the way out here. Parata, actually, it was not. It was Abram, but Abram was staying in here. Parata was in here, and we were asking. It was Sejdic in that game, right? We were asking Sejdic to try to get there. He never got there.
Yeah.
Right. And so Bedoya had all day to service a couple of balls. And, I'll tell you, I go back to my notes in this game. There was what minute was.
So anything left?
51st minute, right? Even with the center backs, they were slacking off, which enables Philly to find Bedoya completely wide open. He cuts in and just misses a goal at the far post. Would have been the same exact goal we've been conceding all year, even with the middle 3. Didn't change anything. So that's the first problem. Here's the second problem, right? The second problem that we have is, all right, who are the players? So obviously Miles is one of them, right? Assuming that he's not gone, right? But Miles has to be one of the 3, right? For sure. Right? So one would think, right? So who are you going to pick? Are you going to pick Parata, Abram, or Hernandez? 2 of those 3. What do you think?
Well, Parata, I think, is first choice, right?
Okay, for
sure. Then the question is it Abram or Hernandez?
Okay. Who do you think?
I think he goes with Abram. Am I guessing what he says or what I would do?
Yeah. What's your question?
Either way, give me what you would do.
I would do what you have out there right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
With Hernandez.
Me too. I think that Parata and Hernandez are both better than Abram. But here's the problem. So Parata's looked pretty good in this last 2 games. You know why he's looked good? Because he actually is not very aggressive getting up the field, but he actually is pretty good when he's the free middle guy. Right. So he's been the middle guy in these last things. Right. So the obvious thing would be keep him as the middle guy. Right. But if you keep him as the middle guy, where does Miles go?
Yeah.
You want to move Miles to the left and Hernandez to the right, or you could switch them. But in either case, so the problem with this, so even if you go this or something, right? My problem with this is that who's the fastest guy in the back line?
Well, Hernandez in this scenario.
This
Oh, sorry.
Miles.
Sorry,
Miles.
Miles.
Miles
Yeah,
by
yeah.
far
Miles
is
by
super
far, yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And who reads the game the best out of all those guys?
Yeah, Miles.
Miles.
Same.
So when you have the guy who's the fastest and who reads the game, you want to put him here, right? So now Parata is going to be one of the other guys. I don't think he's as good at that way.
Yeah.
Because what happens with these guys is they get caught, out here in a more 1v1 kind of situation. Sorry. Right. Whereas, right now, Parata has been mostly the free guy.
Yeah.
He's been terrific as the free guy, but I'm not really sure he's the best matching up.
So yeah, maybe they'll put him in the center, and Miles is fine to the right or left. Like I'd put him out to the
I
left.
think that's a better scenario is to leave him here. Right. And I mean, Miles has no problem with that 1v1.
And I would flip it with Hernandez here and put
sure.
Hernandez on the right. But I think what you're also saying, which is good about this, would Abram looks good in the Parata role if he needs, gets injured or there's cohesion there.
I don't think Abram is as good as Parata, and I don't think he's capable of playing that center role. No, I don't. But the other thing, the bottom line is one of the problems that I have with the 5 is that you still haven't fixed, the matchup problem, right? We still have these 3 guys, and we did much better because at least now we have 3 in the back. We never get caught with only 2 in the back, or last year sometimes 1 in the back, right? But my problem is they're still not good about matching up. Now, when Robinson is there, he's much better because he's super aggressive. He wins the ball up the field, right? But there's still this, I don't know who should take whatever. Now, that being said, right, one thing that's happened with our 3 in the back for the first time all season in the last 2 games, we've won the ball occasionally up the field, right? That is incredibly important, right? We haven't been doing that all year. It's been my number 1 problem, right? But the problem I have is with all of the good things that we have, we still don't have this guy marked up out here. Yeah. Right? Why? With 3 in the back, we should have him marked up, right?
But at least, hopefully, if they see that, they can correct it. If they see that.
So first of all, I don't think that they really understand the strengths and weaknesses of Parata and Miles, right? I suspect that what's going to happen is Parata is going to go here and Miles is going to go here, right? And I think nobody has realized that Parata is really good in the center role. That's his best role.
Yeah.
Right. So I think they're going to get that wrong. I think that they think that Abram is better than Hernandez. I think they might get that wrong, right? You might see that.
Yeah.
Right. And that is not nearly as good in the back 3. And Abram and Parata, they should be able to, but they don't match up that well. Even when they match up pretty well, sometimes up the field, they're okay matching up. But this is a huge problem still, right? We still with the back 3, we don't have anybody going to close down that roll out wide. So anybody who thinks that suddenly we're going to get a lot of shutouts, right? I think we're still going to give up that soft goal. Now, granted, once they're out wide, you have at least 3 guys in the back.
Right.
So they're at least serving the ball into a crowded box.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what's happened. It's like this,
but overall, there was some Bedoya moments. You say but you don't think we are any more defensively sound.
No, we're much better defensively sound. But anybody who thinks that it's going to be against the better teams, that we are going to continue to do what we've done, I think is kidding themselves, right? We're still going to give it. We're not going to get shutouts.
Isn't Philadelphia one of the better teams?
Yeah, I think we blitzed Philadelphia because they weren't expecting it, right? And I think what's going to happen, the other thing I'm worried about is in the center of the park, that people are going to realize they only got 2 in the center of the park, and they're going to overload it, right? Yeah. So we're going to have trouble getting out of the back. Now, one thing that's happened, which is a total accident, has nothing to do with Pineda, but he got lucky. When you have this and only 2 in the back, your defensive midfielder has to be a guy who you can play to out of the back. Sosa, you can play to out of the back.
Yeah.
Ibarra gives the ball away all the time and doesn't make great decisions out of the back. So, God bless, we got the right player. If you're going to play 5 in the back, Sosa's way better because he's going to read the game. You don't need all the tackles as much, right? And most importantly, you need to have a guy who can also outlet the ball. I mean, one of the things that, one of our listeners, Jeff Newberry, who was a tremendous coach himself, was telling us to look at, and I agree with him completely. When we were playing with Ibarra and Sejdic mostly, or Ibarra and Rossetto, when we were trying to play out of the back, those guys are not moving at all. They're not available at all. And so we have been bypassing them left and right. Now that works if Almada is open, but all these teams have realized that. They've closed down Almada, and suddenly we're not building out of the back anymore. We're going long, we're kicking it, we're not, it's not good. And we've given the ball, even when we've tried to, how many times have we given up goals where we just gave it away out of the back?
Too many this season.
Right?
Yeah.
So
most of any season.
Yeah. So this is my concern. So if we summarize the tactical board, you would say, look, we have to play 5 in the back now. We don't have a choice, right? As soon as you play 5 in the back, there's 2 problems. One, the main problem, I think, is Almada has to go wide, and I think is not as good for him. He's a great player, so he'll still be good, right? And then the other problem I have was we only get 2 in the middle. We only have 2 in the middle. They better be very, very good.
Yeah.
Right. And or unless we're going to get overloaded. The third problem, I don't think we match up even that well out of the back in the 5, but that's the problem right now anyway. So it's better when we have 3 guys than we have 2 guys. So,
but is Sosa our guy now? Do you think that Pineda, with the 5 in the back, Sosa has to be the guy? Pineda can't sit him anymore.
I think that Pineda might, because I don't think he recognizes it, but he has to be. And he is also, one thing that I will say about going to the 5 with what we have, Sosa makes a lot of sense in a 5 because he really can read it. It really maximizes Wiley and Lennon, right? And the guy that they bought makes sense completely. Mayamba, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he makes perfect sense with only 2 in the middle too. So everything looks like, the front office was like, hey, why don't you play 5 in the back? Now it was weird. They made these moves within, a day of playing 5 in the back and seeing it once. So could it really have been like, oh, we think it's fine, and they moved on it? That's amazing if they did, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall and figure out how we changed, from 4 in the back to 5 in the back. One of the things, the podcast right before that, I just went absolutely apoplectic because I'm like, are we ever going to change anything in the back? Right? Because we're giving up the most goals in the league, and we did. Yeah. So maybe they're listening. Maybe. But I love the 5 in the back for this team, but here I just wanted to point out what are the tactical issues with it. And anybody who thinks that suddenly the 5 in the back is going to solve all of our problems, I think is not true.
But I think if we were to get that other forward is a DP or somebody at that level and another secondary upgrade in the midfield, that would be exciting.
I don't think we're going to get that. I'll take that back.
Well, who are we signing then?
We're just signing one designated player who is our right forward. That's who it is.
But we have more money than that, I think, to go out and get somebody in the midfield.
Yeah, but I think it has to be this. Oh, say it.
A League 2 French player? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I think it's going to be, honestly, I think Miles will go to the center, and he shouldn't be in the center. It should be Parata. Yeah. I think that it will likely be Abram because he hates Hernandez. Yeah. Right, which is also a mistake. So I think it's going to be this.
Yeah. Well, at least Sosa has some credit in the bank and man of the match, right? So you figure Pineda is going to play.
Sosa, when healthy, I mean, some of these people who are like, oh my God, Ibarra is so much better than Sosa. I mean, they're right and they're completely wrong. So has Ibarra been the better player than Sosa this year? Absolutely. Right? Because we've been a chaos. We have only 4 in the back, right? And we've asked our center midfielders to do crazy things. The only thing that works in that role is someone who just flies around the field and makes tackles or whatever. And of course, Sosa's been hurt, right? But if you actually play a solid foundation where people are actually defended and you don't ask, which is what they've done, Ibarra to be like literally holding the hand of Miles and particularly Parata, if you actually allow him to go into midfield and to read it, he is absolutely terrific. And when you play 5, which is what they did, and he allows to do that, a number of people are like, oh, what are you going to make a mistake? He will not make a mistake, people. When he's allowed to be a defensive midfielder, he is terrific. He's been absolutely much worse than Ibarra this season because the role has been crazy, not an actual defensive midfielder, right? He's been holding the hand of Parata. He's been flying out wide occasionally. He's been doing all this crazy stuff, and Ibarra is better at that, right? Yeah. But not only when you have it marked up, you now have a true defensive midfielder. Sosa's the better player. And if you only have 2 in the midfield because you have 5 in the back, you got to have a guy who can handle the ball. There was a moment in this Montreal game where Guzan made a really terrible ball to Sosa in the middle, right? Yeah. He was under a tremendous amount of pressure. It almost didn't get to him. It was straight up the middle. Hold on. And he made a one-touch ball out of trouble right into a great position, I think, to Lennon. Yeah. If that's Ibarra, he gives it away, and we got real trouble.
Okay.
All right. Tactical board.
Tactical board.
Tactical board.
Tactical board.
Everybody back to their normal positions. Oh, I like the Tyler Adams jersey you're rocking there.
Oh, very nice.
Time for a refill on the wine during this brief intermission, podcast listeners.
Interlude.
Make sure you get Carmen a little splash there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Should have done that before you left. So, Philadelphia game. As I mentioned, I thought it was definitely in our top 2 performances. It was the first game that I was at that or watched, right? That I wasn't just overly stressed the entire time. What was your rating of that game compared to, say, the Charlotte or other games where we played pretty well?
I thought it was our best game of the season.
Yeah,
obviously, not only was it against a very good Philadelphia team, they were the hottest team in the league. I think they were 7 wins and 2 ties coming into the game in their last 9. You know, that was a very, very hot Philadelphia team, and we made them look really bad, which actually goes to this whole thing we've been saying the whole season, right? We have been saying the entire time that our talent, particularly up front, if you would just get it right defensively and don't give up easy goals, or maybe even if you recycle the ball up high,
right,
we look terrific. Now, obviously, Papa Giorgio went down, but before he went down was the best period that we looked in the whole season.
Yeah. And yeah, like we said, for pounding the desk a million times, fullback stay back, or at least most of the time. We never really did that all season. This 3 in the back, right, forces us to do that. So there we go.
Yeah. I mean,
and if we're able to bring in some of the right signings, you'll be even happier.
Yeah, I mean, if we get what you say we're going to get, and I think I took that bet. Carmen, did you note that bet? Did you type it down on your phone?
Bet? Sorry,
I think that we're going to get 2 more high quality players.
2 versus 1. You think it's going to be a right winger?
I think so, but either way, I think the bet's not really where they're going to be. It's 1 versus 2.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this is kind of like, clearly there's going to be one big signing, right? Mm-hmm. And whether that's big as in a DP or just a very good player. Yeah. We certainly should be expecting that, right? But then is there one that's roughly, on the heels of that? Maybe.
I still think if you have one big signing, it's a better off being, a box to box midfielder, right? That's where we really need the help. Although now we get this issue, even do we have a left back? Yeah. I don't really understand what the rationale behind getting rid of Gutman is. I mean, I guess if you're going to go consistently to 5 in the back, right, then Wiley becomes that.
What does
that wing
Gutman
back.
Get paid?
I don't think he was making that much.
But that's my point, is they're trying to free something up.
Free money, yeah.
Which you free money up, or there's an upgrade at left back, right? Those would be the only reason. Why would you get rid of Gutman then?
I think you're right in that it's to free up money. Yeah. Because there's a big player coming that they need that money for. Right. That's what I think. And Gutman was
and so you don't need that for a designated player. Because you can spend as much as you want on a designated player.
Look at you using logic over there, Mikey Dubs. I like it.
I like that, but I still don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, but then why?
Makes sense.
But then why would they get rid of Gutman then? To bring in another left back that's amazing?
I don't know.
Yes. Okay. So I think I'm right on this one.
Bet is recorded.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right. because I would like
Yeah.
to be wrong.
If I am right, then you have to keep bringing wine to the podcast every
Yeah.
time you come.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to be wrong. Be happy to be wrong, Mikey Dobbs. Yeah.
So fun game.
Yeah.
I mean, just sitting there watching the opportunities Almada creates, it's fun.
There was one terrible, awful, no good thing in the game.
Yeah.
When Papa Giorgio went down, who came on?
Oh, I talk about it so much. But for anybody who's out there who's defending Miguel Berry, you don't know what you're watching. Period. The end. Like, I just will go there at this point.
Yeah, I agree. There's really nothing that he said.
All that I'm doing at this point is watching him and every movement he makes on the field, to the point of just torture. Because it has to be depressing for like some USL kid that is hungry to come up into the MLS and play that position, right? That can do it well.
So in the first half, in injury time, so Barry had come on, whatever he came on, well, it was like 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, whatever it was, when Papa Giorgio went down. So he's absolutely fresh against the other guys who've been playing already 35 minutes, right? So you're thinking, the fastest guy in the field, right? Almada makes an absolutely stunning switch to Lennon, who made a great run into the corner, right? So he's free in the corner. What does Lennon, I'll ask Carmen, what does Lennon do when he's free in the corner?
When
Lennon has run forward and he gets the ball and he's under no pressure, he crosses the
the
ball. What do we have here, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is like the most obvious answer in the world, right? And so if you have Barry and that happens, what he should be doing?
Maybe get in the box.
Crashing as hard as you can into and he was just standing at the top of the box. He had just come on the field, and he's standing at the top of the box when everybody in the planet knew Lennon was going to cross that ball.
Oh, do you want me to go on fire too on top of it? Because
what did this happen?
Hit that button again. Yeah.
Sorry.
I moved the panel.
Boy.
See, that was truly on fire. The soundboard's off one thing. So I'm tricking you there. But no, in the Montreal game, Dave, there was like late in the game, somebody recycled it out to Almada, and Barry is standing at half field with him. And what does Almada do? He explodes to take on 3 players. And what does Miguel Berry proceed to do other than just jog behind and just watch like me in the stands? Is he going to score? Is Almada going to score? Like, he couldn't sprint equally with him and try to like take a defender away, at least take one of the players that Almada was going to have to beat on his own. He had every possibility to run and keep up with Almada to create some sort of distraction or maybe get a goal. And he just chose to sit back and watch.
What's even more egregious? In the 34th minute, I don't know if you remember this play, but Almada was in the middle and he looped the ball against the run. He looked like he was facing this way, but he looped it over to Lennon. It was an absolutely stunning ball into the box. Yeah. So Lennon gets the ball and is
that the one he brought it down?
He brought it down and he shot it to the far coast and he missed by about a foot.
Yeah, it was a beautiful take by Lennon, by the way.
Yes, but you know what should have happened?
That he should have been standing there going, pass it to me on the far post.
There should have been a tap in the middle of the goal, right? Because he's coming in. The goalkeeper has to take away that. Yeah. He had a bad angle. What he should have done was slide it across. You know what Barry did on that play?
I do. He actually was way late on his drop back there. Like, and it basically was not in an angle where Lennon could have.
He checked up his run for a ball towards the top of the box. You're like, I mean, that's fine when you're in a certain crossing situation, whatever. But when he's in alone like that,
right?
You gotta go for that tap in the middle of the box. Like, he's like at 6s and 7s.
It's
like, what the?
Well, also, I again with your question, like, how many?
That's Papa Giorgio. He makes that run and he taps it in.
Absolutely.
And Lennon would have played that ball. He's good at that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, come on.
And also, like, I'd love to know if there's a site out there. I think there is. It has stats on like more granular stuff, like how many touches has Miguel Berry had. But I think from memory that we can serve the pretty close answer to this. Like, How many headers has Miguel Berry had with his frame?
I can remember 0. I do remember
I can
him
remember
being
0.
called
I
off
can't
a ball
remember.
by one of the
I remember
other
that.
team's defenders
I remember
that he was
that.
going to head the ball.
The
Does
corner
that
kick
count?
header in this last game was Sosa that almost went in off of the corner kick, but Berry wasn't on it.
Yeah, I have no memory.
I tell you what, the other thing is in the Philadelphia game. So pretty early in the Philadelphia game, right? Chop breaks down the right side, right? He plays the ball into Almada at the top of the box. And for once, Almada makes a really bad touch. He wanted it. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he made a bad touch. But his bad touch actually went right to Berry at the penalty spot. I mean, right to Berry. He got a chance to take 2 steps in. And do you remember what he did?
Oh, nothing, I'm sure, because nothing resulted in it.
He shot it. He tried to shoot it.
I remember this.
And he got so over the ball, he hit it into the turf, directly into the turf, and it barely rolled to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that was bad.
It didn't take, I looked at it like 6 times. I'm like, maybe it took a bad bounce. No, he just got so over the top of it. He couldn't get his feet right, and he just kicked it straight into the ground, and it basically dribbled right to the goalkeeper from the penalty spot.
So I have, as I've always said, my favorite part of being part of this podcast are Mikey Dobbs's texts during the game.
Yeah, okay.
This
Oh,
is
no.
a short one. No. This is a short one. No curse words or anything, but it did make me laugh. So, of course, talking about Barry. Now, Mikey Dobbs has been talking about Barry for a while. But finally, after saying he wanted to kind of show Miguel Berry's movement on the tactical board,
Pretty predictable.
yes, he's like, dude, I swear on my life, as a person on this planet, I could do better. Like right now, at 48 years old, any youth soccer player worth his salt should be screaming at the TV. You said the door. Did you mean TV?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure. But I always love that part.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Philadelphia game, this again missing a sitter. At some point, it can't just be a wonder goal.
You know what that was, though, Mikey Dobbs? One of his 3 shots on goal this season. That counts. I mean, wide open from the penalty spot. And honestly, if the goalkeeper hadn't been there, I think it's 50-50 whether it even gets over the line.
Yeah.
Like it might have stopped right into the goal.
That's painful.
It was awful.
All right.
But as Elliot says, and as y'all said before, I'll put it up on the thing. He has heart. He has heart.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
Well,
he doesn't.
Pineda think he does.
No, he
Pineda thinks he does.
has heart, and I'm tired of all the supporters being like,
Yeah, no.
he works so hard or whatever. What are you watching?
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't
I'll
move.
say he doesn't have heart. What heart is when Almada's breaking away, your heart, you better be right next to him.
Busting it.
I'm
Right
just saying.
offside. Give
It's
him an
gotta
option.
be. Pineda has to think something. 'Cause there's no way you put that man out there.
Yeah, I tell you what he thinks is he thinks that we can't have a striker unless they're over 6'3". That's what he thinks. And Chol is over 6'3". Put him in.
That's a great point. Yeah. Chol especially.
It's not his natural position, guys. You can't play that.
Yeah,
But he can run. He can move.
or this idea that we can't play any of these guys false 9 or whatever because they're not used to it. I mean, if anybody watched Man City, right? I mean, he had Gundogan playing left back at times, right? They were talking about who was saying
Maybe
that,
a little too extreme.
yeah, really too extreme, of
Yeah.
course.
And
But
did you hear the story about what's his name? Gabriel Jesus?
yes,
I understand his frustration.
yes.
I was like, you're not that much of a genius, Pep. Like that's just
But my point in that whole thing, so that Jesus was talking about, there was
a left back after Jesus has had a fabulous run, like doesn't get played the next game after he just scored and had an assist, and a left back comes and plays your position.
Oh,
Yeah, he played somebody up as a striker, and Jesus was on the bench. But my point being in that telling that story, right, is that this idea that professional players, I mean, it's one thing if you take a professional player like Gundogan and play him at left back. That's crazy. That's what Pep does. But the idea that a right forward like Wolf or let's say a winger like Chol, whatever, can't play a false 9, like needs like months of preparation or a whole season to do it. It's just madness.
Yeah, no, you've never
right?
played.
Like, come on.
You play with guys who have a nose for goal, like Wolf does. He can figure out a way to do more.
People are saying, "Oh, we're prepared to play that kind of formation or whatever for a false nine." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
I disagree too. All right.
I disagree with that.
Montreal game.
Yeah.
Another win, another shutout.
Yeah. Well, I will say
decent game, right?
Yeah. Better than decent.
Better than decent. Top 3 of the season. I'd maybe put that in the number 2 slot.
Yeah. It's that or Charlotte.
That or Charlotte, right?
But and they're both wins on the road. So first of all, how many games has Pineda won on the road in the last 2 seasons prior to Montreal? 3, people. 3. It was just 3. And now we've won a second one this season. So good on you. We won 2 last season. We won 2. If we never win another one, that's not so good. But hey, winning a game on the road for us and Montreal at home has been very good. They're middle of the road, middle of the table team, but at home they've been terrific.
We're already above 2 points on the table from what our prediction was of the last team. We thought we were only going to get 4 out of the next 4 games.
Yeah. So I would say amazing. And then the other thing you have to say is that, we said you don't have to do that much if you're defensively sound. You just give players like Almada, amazing chance. And, Philadelphia, he hits the wall, gets a rebound, unbelievable shot. This game, the free kick, he hit it by about a good 3 inches, Mikey Dobbs. He was trying to put it right in off the post and it hit the post. So, he's struggling.
Yeah.
But but he just created that. Like Lennon gets a tap in, right? It was terrific. And Lennon did really good to get to that ball quickly and whatever. I will note, okay, that, Lennon was in that position or whatever, but, that's a run that Barry's not making either. He couldn't make that run in that situation. He was standing in the wall. Yeah. But, God bless Barry. If you see Almada shooting anywhere in the game, run towards the goal because there might be a rebound.
Right. Was Lennon off or was he clearly on? I can't remember.
Elliot was close.
It was close? Okay.
It was real close. Okay. I made a note. I said, God bless MLS that doesn't have the magic line. Because I think if I had to guess, Elliot, I think he was offside by like an elbow, like in one of those Premier League. Technically, it would have been whatever. But in the spirit of the game, he was not offside. His body was equal. Right. But I have a guess that he was maybe leaning a half an inch offside. It was close.
Well, Almada's free kicks, though, are just they're becoming something of a spectacle at this point. It's like every time something's going to happen, and I don't see it stopping, which is kind of cool for him. I think once you get in a good mindset like that he's not going to be putting it into the stands. Oh, knock on wood.
I was about to say.
Oh man, I got to knock on wood, but no, I think he's got the formula down on making something possible by not shooting it over the goal, right? Get it on frame, see if it comes off the post, see if it comes off the keeper, right? And he doesn't overpower it, but he doesn't underpower it either. And I think that's the key. In that Philadelphia game, right? Like I remember when he drew the foul, I was like, oh man, that sucks because it's too close to the top of the box. Like that's not a good angle for him. I was like, he can't score this because even Almada can't get it up and over that wall.
Yeah.
And he did. He just banged it into the wall and then rebound shot it in. I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Let's just play it off the wall back to myself. Yeah. Clever.
But no, what I'm saying there, that's actually better than trying to go over the wall unnecessarily and skied into the stands because it was just way too hard of a shot, right? So,
I feel like he may have skied one in one of the games, and it like shocked me. Yes. And that's weird. You know, it was like absolutely like, oh gosh, what just happened? So yeah, you're right.
Anything else in the Montreal game you want to jump into?
No, well, a couple of very minor things. So the substitutes, do you remember? So, he brought on Chol and Fortune.
Yes.
Right? He brought him on for?
Yes.
Or who he didn't bring them on?
Who are the guys who are the youngest who can run all day on the team?
It was Wiley and Wolf, right?
Yes, Wiley and Wolf. Who are terrible players who don't run at all?
Barry is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and who's the center midfielder doesn't move?
Well, Sadich. He
And-
moves. But
Well, yeah, he's done better lately. But I mean, I'm giving him a little bit of a hard time. But when you're bringing on those subs, why not Barry and Sadich as opposed to Wolf
would agree.
and Wiley?
Well, definitely Barry. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's clear.
Well,
Maybe
he-
Wolf could have come out.
he
'cause wasn't having
loves-
his best.
he
I mean,
loves
Barry
Barry.
never tracks back
No,
ever.
never
Like,
pressures the
yeah.
ball.
Never. I mean, that is what drives me because like if I'm going to have the reluctancy of just watch Almada if he's going to go to breakaway, and not actually sprint with my heart after him to try to help him. At least I'm going to try to get back and help my team on a couple moments when I just watch the guy dribble up the sideline. No, I'll try to help my wing back, like put pressure on him, and that's what I'm saying. At 48,
And
I
have
can do
to-
better. I can do better.
You
I
could.
have to say, and I hate to be critical of a kid this young, but so they had one chance to score really in the whole game, right? It was our old buddy George Campbell, of all things, cut it in from the left back
yeah.
and
Zinged it right.
he
over the
zinged
far
it and
post.
didn't miss by like more than a foot, right?
Yep.
On that play, it was Fortune who was trying to match up with him and block it.
Mhm.
It was about 5 yards outside the 18. It
Yeah.
was somewhere in the 23-yard range or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Fortune is standing there trying to, you know why he didn't block that shot? Who thinks that Fortune is not quicker than George Campbell?
I don't know.
I mean, he's definitely quicker.
He's quick.
Yeah. Fortune is standing 4 yards outside of our own 18, and he's defending with his hands behind the back,
Right.
Outside the box.
outside the box.
Yeah.
When you're outside the box, people, you defend. If it hits your arm, which is not good, it's still just a free kick.
To his credit, though, that is partly the fault of the whole handball rule right now.
God!
Is forcing all the players to play with their hands behind their back. They're training that into people at such a young
But
age
outside
now.
the box,
Well, you don't.
that should only be reserved for inside
it
the
becomes
box.
habit, though.
Yeah,
I think.
that's what I think.
guess
But
so.
it's really bad.
That is.
Yeah.
Because it really prevented him from real. In my opinion, if he wasn't trying to defend like that, he probably quick enough. He probably blocks that shot.
I don't know. It was a hell of an effort, and if he just scored, you got to just tip your hat.
Oh
over
yeah,
it.
but that's what I'm saying. Fortune was in a good defensive position, and
Yeah.
George Campbell went right by him and got a
Yeah.
shot off. I don't think that should happen, right?
I don't know. You see a lot of guys cut across the top of the box, and they usually get the shot off. I don't know. And from that 20
Campbell against
that-
Fortune
from that 25-yard spot out when you're cutting in an angle, like, you
I'm
don't-
not
you
saying
don't-
he
you
did
don't
it, but
see
he
somebody-
didn't come close.
you don't see people get their foot to it very often in any game like that. I don't think they usually end up shooting in the stands, or it goes whizzing by.
Or at least you're really close enough where you make it more difficult for him.
Yeah.
He was not close enough. He had all, he really got a chance to like lean into it, whatever.
All right.
So we can talk about that. Goes us right to the U.S. national team game. People are just trashing Miles Robinson,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, because 2 handballs,
Oh, yeah.
right? But I mean,
Well, that one was pretty dumb.
which one was dumb?
The one where
The
he's
first
like
one?
punching at it. That one.
No, I disagree. I'm
Okay.
going to argue with that. That actually, you know what that was?
Him throwing his hand
No.
necessarily towards the ball.
No,
Yeah.
no. You know what
Yeah.
that was? I don't. Who was the Canadian player?
He's trying to punch him because he's
No.
Canadian.
No.
I don't know.
No.
You tell me.
So the ball was bouncing, it was coming down, and the Canadian player went to trap it, right? He completely whiffed on the trap. It was one of the worst attempts I have ever seen to trap the ball. So what happened was he whiffed on the trap, it hit the ground and bounced up, and Miles was expecting him to trap it. He was going to tackle low, and the ball came up high
Yeah.
because the guy totally missed the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to go back and look
what
at
the like. That's a professional player. I mean, he went to trap the ball and he missed it completely.
because to be fair, like the only thing I was again at I wasn't listening to the commentary.
Yeah.
All I saw was the replay. Like
Yeah.
it's like slow motion.
Well, he was just coming in like this because he was going low for the ball, and the ball was suddenly up here. It should never have been up there. The guy's supposed to trap the ball.
Yeah.
How do you expect that? Okay, so that's the second one. What do you feel about the first one?
That one's not in my memory as well.
So in the first one, it was headed and it skimmed off his arm. He was sort of like, he went to try to challenge. He wasn't even close to challenging, and he was up like that.
I hate those ones. Like, that's a natural position when you get a challenge for the
I
ball,
agree.
Wait, was that the one that was overturned? Like,
No, they didn't call it.
They didn't call
Yeah.
it. Got it. Yeah.
He wasn't a penalty kick on that,
Yeah.
but the people are saying, "Oh, he got away with one," right? You know.
Yeah. They said he was pushed, which isn't that what
No, they said the other guy got pushed before. They bailed him out. The referee was good in that case. So by the letter of the law, right, the way they've been enforcing it now, that would have been a penalty kick for sure. It's the stupid, it hit him. His arm was in an unnatural position. That's a penalty kick, right?
Right.
But the referee didn't want to give a penalty kick because he's like, that would have been a really soft penalty kick. So he's looking at the play and he's like, oh, right in front of Robinson, one of the Canadian players just shoved one of our defenders. And he was like, oh, push prior to the handball. That's what he called.
Got it.
So that's how he got bailed out of. So I think that's good refereeing. But here's my take.
All right.
Right? I'm going to call for it once again. We need to have option number 3. Right? Because we need to have, it can't just be penalty kick or no penalty kick. There needs to be a thing where it's not really a goal scoring opportunity. Yes, it is a handball. Maybe it's even an unnatural, but it wasn't going towards the goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't changing an opportunity. You don't want to be like giving them people like, okay, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to give it a penalty kick. There has to be something in between.
Yeah.
And the natural solution to it is, there's a third option if it's not egregiously physical or if it's not really denying any kind of chance for scoring, then the referee would have the discretion to give you a free kick anywhere within 10 yards of the semicircle on the 18, anywhere.
I would say, yeah, right on the semicircle anywhere.
Well, so the semicircle comes to the top of the 18, right? Because that's drawn, for people who don't know, it's drawn because that's actually a 10-yard circle from the penalty spot. So that keeps you 10 yards away from the penalty spot on a penalty kick. That's the reason why it's there. So if you take that natural arc and you say 10 yards out from that, a natural arc, you can take it anywhere in there. You can put it on the arc. You can put it 10 yards behind the arc if you want more room. You can go anywhere.
Which is right where Almada had his.
Because that's where most of the players love to shoot from. Most of them like it much more like maybe 5 to 8 yards outside of that little arc.
Yeah.
A little bit left, right. Some like it center. Give it to them wherever they want it. If you got a guy who's good, that's a good chance.
Oh, no, I'm saying that you should have to put it on the arc itself somewhere.
It's too close.
I know, which just makes it more difficult.
No, I want to give an even better chance.
No, I don't, because
it's in the box. You're taking it back out. There got to be some
for like those weird handballs. I don't know.
Weird handball. You can even be like, okay, get your hand down. And you're going to give up a good free kick. Then you still got to convert it from anywhere there.
Okay.
Better than a PK.
I'm not totally against
it's better than a PK.
I'm not totally against that.
But anyway, the third way, we should like write a blog or a op-ed or something.
That would be a cool MLS weird rule if they were the first to test that.
To test it.
Ooh.
Let's have a third way. We got to give referees a little bit of an out. Because he was looking for an out on that. And he should have been, because it would have been a really soft penalty. They gave him a penalty kick, even the second one, when they didn't have a shot on goal.
How sweet would have that rule been with Almada this year?
Yeah, well, if you have a great free kicker, then that actually helps. And it adds to the excitement of it. You earn a really cool free kick goal rather than just a penalty kick goal. You're like, okay. And it would take away from, how many of these people get called like penalty merchants, right? Because most of their goals are penalty kicks. We wouldn't have that many because a lot of those in-between decisions would be free kicks, not penalty kicks. It would only be the really clearly denying it would be a penalty kick. Yeah. It would probably go at least half and half of what they're giving now. The penalty kicks would now, half would be free kicks. And it might even be 2/3. It might only be a third penalty kicks.
That's true.
I like it. All right. We have Women's World Cup that we could talk about. The
Leagues Cup.
The Leagues Cup. We got
which are starting basically on the same time.
We just talked a little Gold Cup with the handball stuff, but we just made it through to the semifinals. Who are we playing in the semis? Is that undecided?
Panama.
Oh, okay.
So who did Panama beat?
Great question.
Panama beat
Guatemala, Qatar.
There's always a guest country.
That always confuses me. I'm like,
they're not in CONCACAF, people.
So do you think
there's always a guest team?
Do you think who's Mexico playing?
Mexico beat Costa Rica.
Oh, they did. So they're through.
Yes.
Okay.
So the remaining teams, it's us and Panama on the other side, and it's Mexico and Jamaica. That's correct.
So
Jamaica got through.
Jamaica beat Guatemala. Who they play?
Yeah, Guatemala or Honduras?
Guatemala.
Yeah.
Interesting. All
right now, it looks like Jamaica gonna beat Mexico. Mexico is, Mexico lost to Qatar.
I saw that. Yeah.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
I
they did with their
missed
top
that.
team.
Dude, did you watch the Haiti game that they played? Dude, Haiti had like sitters.
Yeah.
Like Haiti was so confused. They had like 3 people in the box
They're like, who
that
we
could have
playing?
scored. They were like, who are we playing? What's going on? There was like no Mexico. I mean, it was, and then they just whiffed it. I was like, Haiti should have crushed Mexico in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like 3 of those type of weird opportunities where like Mexico just accidentally passed it to a Haitian player like in the box by himself. And you're like, dude, you got to finish that.
Right.
Oh, Dave's refilling us.
Refilling the
Good
wine.
man.
Yes.
Let's
see. I know you mentioned a lot of stuff that we can talk about. Are we done with the U.S. though? Do we need to finish?
Now, why don't you talk some U.S. women's? What are your expectations for the World Cup?
Y'all know that I am not excited about the U.S.'s chances.
Tell me more. Why is that?
Why not? They are the Vegas favorites.
Are they really?
Still, yeah.
Seriously?
Yep, they are the favorites.
And I guess they're the number 1 team in the world still, right?
Yep, still the number 1 team in the world.
They just haven't looked that great. I think since Mallory Pugh went down.
Yes, she was balling.
She was so good, and she was really where most of our goals came from. And so when she went down, I just feel like we haven't really had a goal scorer.
Okay.
We haven't been able, and I don't even know, like I feel like especially against some of the better teams, we've just had really nothing going on.
Now is Mallory Pugh?
I'm sorry, what's her name now?
Swanson. Is she married to Dansby Swanson, the former Atlanta Braves? Yes.
She is.
And he moved to Chicago.
He's not former, right? Is he still with?
No, he's
Chicago.
former. He
He's a
moved to
Cub.
Chicago
Oh.
because he wanted to be with his wife, who is in the NWSL.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is news for you guys, Atlanta Braves fans. You're like, why did Swanson just up and leave us? He left for his wife, people, because she was playing for Chicago, and he wanted to be with her.
Yeah. And now she just follows him around since she can't play.
She's hurt.
Quite sad.
She was the best player coming into this tournament, and before she tore her ACL.
She was in such great form. In the last World Cup, she was
up.
on the team but didn't really play.
Yeah.
So I was really actually excited for her, just how good she had been playing, and she was in a good space, like had everything. And then, that was heartbreaking. But yeah, we just don't. I don't. And besides that, I don't think we have good coaching. I think if we're tight with a team, we are going to get out coached.
So the first game is on a Friday, the 21st against Vietnam.
Yep.
That's right.
9:30 kickoff.
Yeah, because it's all from Australia, New Zealand, right? We in New Zealand or Australia? We're playing all of our first round matches in one of the 2 countries, and I can't remember, but because it's a joint hosted, but it's 9:00 there. I mean, it's 9:00 here because of the time difference. They're kicking off. It's like a 12-hour difference or something. So it's like morning games that are being kicked off here at night.
Yeah, so it's got to be almost 12 because I know Singapore is like exactly 12-hour difference from Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Not that Singapore and Vietnam or sorry, where are the games being played? Did you say Vietnam?
No, I'm trying to think. So it's actually it's 12 hours before, right? So it's morning there, but it's the night time before here.
So we have a 9 p.m. game on Friday night, and then July 26th, 9:00 at night.
It's great for us.
Yeah.
9:00 games are good.
Yeah, fun.
I'm gonna be in Chicago, so it's an 8:00 kickoff.
Oh,
people,
nice.
That's Friday night game. Let's go. I'll be at some
when's that
establishment in Chicago.
The Portugal US
August
game?
1st.
I know, but what day is August 1st fall on?
But it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
I know, that's why I'm calling it out.
What do we got?
3 a.m. live podcast
on a Tuesday.
We do a post game review. I don't know, at 5 a.m. Some red wine.
Let's see how many people are alive for that one. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Carmen.
Okay.
You ready?
Uh-huh.
So in the final warm up, game,
Mhm.
right? He went with what I thought looked like probably his starting lineup,
Okay.
right? So he had Morgan up top, right? And he had Lynn Williams. He had Haran in the
That's
middle.
actually surprising.
He had he played with Andy Sullivan, right?
I am not an Andy Sullivan fan.
No. Well, my point being this, that there were a couple of players who were noticeably conspicuously not in the starting lineup, right? So
Okay.
one was Julia Ertz, right? So suggests that maybe he doesn't think she's really ready to be the starter.
Right.
The other one was Rose Lavelle coming off an injury.
Mhm.
Doesn't look like she's necessarily ready to be a starter.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I I am not hopeful for our midfield. Haran, I've always loved Haran. I like her a lot. Andy Sullivan has never been on my top, probably like 30 list. Like I just doesn't. I maybe I just don't appreciate her as a player. I don't know, but if she's starting for us, that's going to cause trouble. But again, I said it about Ertz. She just hasn't played a lot, so I get why she might be. They have her on the bench from the get go, but I'm really hoping Lavelle comes back.
So he had the center midfield, the three in the center, where Andy Sullivan playing defensive, and he had Haran and Ashley Sanchez.
I like Ashley.
Yeah,
Sanchez.
she's terrific.
Yep.
And then he had the front line: Sophia Smith, Alex Morgan, and Thompson was the front line.
I'm actually surprised about Thompson because she hasn't really been starting. They usually will have who's the other one they all have over there?
Lynn Williams, I think,
Is
is
it
one.
okay? I'm blanking.
And Rapinoe, that's what I call her.
So, what's your
Megan
prediction
Rapinoe.
for the
Trinity
Vietnam game?
Rodman? Trinity Rodman. is
Yeah,
probably who you're thinking
I
of.
really like her. We win 7-0.
17-0.
That big of a difference.
Oh, it's going to be huge against
Wow.
Vietnam. Yeah,
I
huge.
say Vietnam's ranked 32 in the world.
It doesn't matter.
It'll be huge.
That's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
But that's the women's game at this moment. The weak teams are really weak. But then the Netherlands in game 2, that's a game.
That'll be a game. That'll be good.
We could lose that game.
Rematch of the finals, the last
Yeah.
World Cup finals.
And Netherlands is ranked 9th.
I think we can lose to any of the top 10 teams.
Yeah. So,
So
the top 10 are Australia, Netherlands, Brazil, Canada, Spain, France, England, Sweden, Germany, and then US.
Brazil might be the only one I think we would actually beat pretty soundly. But besides that, I think we would have.
So the center backs were Cook and Gurma. That's who it looks like it's going to be, right?
Yep.
What do you think about them now that Sauerbrunn is not available? Good,
I mean,
bad, indifferent?
I think I'm leaning towards indifferent. I think, those are definitely our best center backs by far. And they're good. I'm not saying they're bad, but I think this is going to be their first World Cup. Naomi Gurma only graduated from Stanford, maybe 2 years ago?
Like 8 minutes ago.
I know. So to have that as center back, that's a little tough.
I think it's an upgrade.
You said that last time.
I'm going to
You said it
disagree
last
with you.
time.
I think that Sauerbrunn is past it.
No.
Like she's super, super smart and she gets away with a lot because she's veteran or whatever, but she doesn't have the pace. She doesn't. And I think these players honestly might be better players in the long run. Right. They're no experience. Right.
Right. And don't get me wrong. Sauerbrunn is on the downward slide of her career. And even in the last World Cup, she was giving up some fouls that she shouldn't have been giving up. And so,
one-on-one, they went right by her a couple of times in that last World Cup.
But there's something.
You're not going to see that with Cook and Gurma. No one's going to go running right by him 1v1.
Cook, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I think you need some real experience and leadership at a center back position. But I think you're right. In terms of actual player, they were just in the NWSL and I had to draft a center back or start a center back, I would start them over Becky Sauerbrunn. But in the World Cup, I sort of want Becky Sauerbrunn.
All right.
Out there.
Fine, veteran.
Yeah.
So who do you think, if the U.S. is not going to win it, who's going to win it?
Oh, Elliot says England. That's a good choice.
I think Elliot's right.
Yeah. England looks
to me the favorite because Spain should be the favorite, but the players who protested are not playing. That really hurts them. Spain's probably the best team, but
you don't have
England's going to win.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we would have to really get it all together. If we, I don't know when we would face them, and I guess it depends on how it.
Mikey
turns out.
Dobbs, you ready? It's coming home. It's coming.
I don't know, man.
Football's coming.
Staying
home.
here with the U.S.
That's what you got.
Oh, he's
I
got
do.
the U.S.
Okay.
winning.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
make it out of the group,
Yep.
get in the knockout stages. See
We're
who-
definitely getting out of the group, even if it's second. Even if
So-
we lose to Holland, we're getting out
so
of
if
the
we're
group.
not matched up against England out of the gates, right? Then we get to the semis or whatever. Then there's always a chance, right? Then you just got to win 2 games after you get out of the quarterfinals.
Although, we blow away Vietnam. Let's say we lose to Holland.
Okay.
That puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the Portugal game.
Mm.
Portugal's not great, but they're a decent side. And
That's why you play the game.
pressures come in. I think they still get through, but
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, I'm rooting for USA.
oh, of
so, come on.
course.
Yep.
God bless. I hope we win. The men never win, so it's
Okay.
gotta be the
2000
women.
2026.
And they're the favorites.
We're gonna make it to the semifinals for the first time
so here's the thing,
in
right?
modern football.
So we've talked about the deficiency of the U.S. national team setup, right? I mean, for God's sakes, we're drinking this great wine because Berhalter, right? But so in the women's case, you actually get, we'll call it 2 World Cups, right? For every cycle, because the Olympics is basically a World Cup. Unlike the men, where it's an under 23 tournament with a few stars sprinkled in, it's a full national team side for the women, right? So they actually get a World Cup competition every 2 years. Okay. So Andrelowski got his shot, right? And his first major tournament was the Olympics. They were awful.
They're terrible.
And they got 3rd place,
Mhm.
right? Barely. They hung on in the 3rd place game, right? But they were awful, right? So if you were the favorites, I mean, this is not the U.S. men's team, but let's say you were a huge favorite. Maybe you were Spain a few years ago, or maybe you were France a few years ago, right? You were a really, really big favorite, right? And you look terrible the whole way. You get through, you get beaten uncharacteristically in the semifinals, and you barely win the 3rd place game. You think you're bringing your coach back?
Probably not.
And yet they bring the coach back for a second go round. Why? Because we don't have a better coach?
I think they just wanted to give him a chance. Because isn't it like
Chance to what? He had an international competition. That's a chance.
yeah, but I feel like it was World
And he
Cup, still
sucked.
left, and then like the next year, and it just like the next year you go to the Olympics. Am I messing that up?
No, I
it was
think that's 2 years.
2019 and then 2020.
What's that? Oh, is it because they were moved it? They
Maybe so.
synchronized?
So
can't
I
remember.
feel like they've wanted to give
Still a
him a little more
year.
time.
You have the best team on the planet, and that team was loaded.
They were good.
They had loaded talent. Everybody was healthy. They limped through the group stages, barely got through the quarterfinal, and lost the semifinal.
Yeah.
I mean, they did. I mean, not only sometimes, I mean, look, there's a difference between getting really unlucky in a semifinal, right? You can have a great team playing amazingly, and you get just a horrible unlucky in the semifinal and go out. If that's the case, bring them back for
Mhm.
sure. But if you look terrible the whole tournament,
Yeah.
you limp out of the semifinals, what made you think you should bring them back? And yet they do. I think it's a disservice to our women that they're like, they don't deserve a better coach. Like, really? Really?
Yeah. He hasn't shown me anything.
Like, they have the top
Wow.
players in the world, and if you're Manchester City, or if you're, let's say you're Paris Saint-Germain, right? You have the most loaded squad. You just bought Messi, and you have Neymar, and you have Mbappe, right? And you win the French league, but you lose in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Did the coach survive? No. That's
No.
basically the equivalent.
Yeah.
They basically
right.
said, okay, we're fine.
It's gonna run with this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about it all. We'll see if our predictions come true. If Dave's
Yeah, so you should write that
tactical-
down, Carmen.
I
We
got it.
got Mikey Dobbs says U.S. winning
Oh.
the World Cup, and we've got,
England.
does it count? Can we just say no women? We are such a favorite. That might even be good enough for
Yeah.
the bet. Will you take that? Win versus no?
Sorry, what's the bet?
You have-
I'm betting
I'm about to
US all
say
the
he's
way
gonna
anyway.
take
Yes,
it. He's
but-
gonna
I'm gonna
take
take
it.
Yes. But in our case, where we're betting against them, do we have to pick a winner, or can we just say not U.S.?
U.S. versus the field.
U.S. versus the field.
Yeah, I'll take the field.
No, you're taking the U.S., right?
As in, I'll go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Got
like
it.
us,
Got
the
it.
field.
Got
We'll
it.
take the
I'll
field.
let-
Okay,
okay.
so write that down. We got the field.
I'll say
Got it.
my U.S. will go against the field.
And he
Okay.
gives us 2 if England win. Because you have England too?
I had England too, and so did
Okay.
Elliot had
Okay.
England. Tyson
Okay.
had England. Yeah.
All right. Well,
the nose.
I'm also going to enjoy going back to your tactical board and see what shapes out in the next couple of weeks with the
Yeah.
trades and
Yeah.
see what our predictions
Please.
and how that all comes together. So
You know, one of the things that's interesting, with Lagerway is there's a lot supposed to be much more advanced analytics. And so these are the first signings with the advanced analytics.
Huh.
I was kind of surprised that this French,
Muyamba.
Muyamba is the guy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see a lot on the clip, so fair.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's going to surprise me, but
Yeah.
he didn't look like an analytics darling.
Oh, maybe.
But I
he's
don't
mon-
know.
Maybe he's moneyballing it. We
Maybe
just
it
don't know.
is. Maybe it is. So
No.
anyway, these are the point being, it's interesting to see who the first signings are with advanced analytics being used.
Yeah.
Or a lot more. We've obviously been using analytics, but Lagerway is really committed to that, and it's the Liverpool, what they've been doing for a while.
that
now.
means, well, never mind. Miguel Berry. Put him down to the
We are
two-
not going to end on.
But
Miguel
he
Berry.
didn't sign Miguel Berry.
Can you put him down to the twos? I don't know.
He honestly wouldn't start for a USL team.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know this.
No.
I know this.
Because you're better than him, and you wouldn't start for a USL
No,
team.
I would not.
Not at your age.
Yeah.
Once upon a time,
I
Mikey
just-
Dobbs.
I'll
Yeah.
just say like 60 seconds. It's just because
Hey.
I'd be like, hey, who is that guy for 60 seconds? Because the commentator said something.
But is
He
there,
ran around a lot.
Yeah.
He touched the ball.
right?
Oh,
At
man.
least you noticed him.
That was a bad ACL tear.
And on that note,
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
thank you very much. See you next time.
Have a good night.